Count it up, count it up, count it up. Fold that, stack that, run
Who
it
else
up.
feels like they're smashing down their debt but still feel more broke than ever? I'm Jess, a licensed financial advisor, and I'm here to educate you on some of the general concepts that will help you make smarter financial decisions. Because quite frankly, they didn't teach this shit in school. This is called general advice, which means we're not taking into account your precise needs, but we are going to look at how all the pieces fit together, and you can consider how that applies to your circumstances. Stick with me till the end and you'll walk away with a simple rule of how to pay down debt and grow your wealth simultaneously, and a quick calculation as to how you might be able to leverage your success sooner. I often say you can't sell the front door to go on a holiday, and that's because most people feel that paying all of their extra cash to their home loan is safe, because a home loan is generally quite a large amount of money, and a 30-year term feels like a hell of a long time to have debt. However, if you're putting every dollar you have left over into your home loan, you're potentially missing opportunities to make more money. So, the simplest way to start doing both is to look at your capacity to do both. Here's how it looks. If we have $10,000 a month net, so in the hand between you and your partner, you're getting 10 grand a month in the bank from employment or from any income sources. Largely, you're paying, let's say in this scenario, $8,500 of that is going towards bills, including your home loan over the course of the month. Then we're putting our extra $1,000 a month towards our home loan. So that's on top of the minimum repayments. And then we've got $500 left over, which we're spending on coffees, cameras, Amazon purchases. Oh, sorry, that's just my house. Blowing $500 a month on who knows what. The smarter strategy is to then consider, of this $1,000 a month, can I be doing something different with it? Often the very simple calculation you can do is actually split that 50-50 and say, I'm going to send $500 a month to my home loan as an extra repayment and $500 per month to an investment. And the main reason that you want to consider doing that is we do want to pay down debt quicker. Whilst interest rates at the moment are around 6%, so every dollar you put off your home loan means you are getting a risk-free rate of return of approximately 6%. There is potential for investments in a portfolio, say of ETFs that is medium to long term, will outperform 6%. The concept of sending 50% of your surplus cash flow to an investment rather than your house where you can't sell the front door to go on a holiday is that your investments you can sell to go on a holiday. You can utilize a portfolio that's accessible outside of super to retire earlier, go on holidays sooner, renovate your property, help the kids. You have more flexibility if you grow your wealth at a higher rate of return than what your property is growing and what your debt interest rate is. So it's about understanding what capacity do you have to stop sending money in certain directions and redirect it to other purposes. Now, the proportion is up to you. So I like to do a bit of everything, but it depends on how much extra cash flow you actually have. However, there is no need to have thousands and thousands of dollars before you start investing. There are very simple, easy, low cost, low entry point investments out there to get into. And the sooner you start investing, the more you will see that in the short term, we've got a little bit of growth. And then suddenly over the longer term, it's really compounding and you're growing and growing and growing. And the more you direct to that portfolio, the more excited you will be about the possibilities and your life will transform. You won't just be paying down debt and seeing your debt go down, which is nice. You'll see debt go down, but inversely also your assets grow. And growth in assets is what gives you opportunities in the long term. The second option is a little more complicated and generally requires a bit more thought process and some help with how you invest the money. So make sure you talk to a mortgage broker or a financial advisor if you go down this path. Looking at the screen here, we've got a house, very nicely drawn, I know, worth 1.2 mil. And then the debt associated with that house is $600,000. So we want to see how much equity do I have in this house that I can tap into. And that essentially means if you've got an asset worth 1.2 mil and you owe $600,000, the difference is the equity. The equity is your asset. It's what you technically own that doesn't have any liability tethered to it. So if we do the math, 1.2 mil minus $600,000 equals, coincidentally, $600,000. So technically, you've got $600,000 worth of asset or equity in your property that you could be leveraging. So one strategy, for example, is to say, I want to tap into $200,000. The amount is discretionary and to be determined based on a number of factors that are specific to you, so don't take this as bread and butter. We take $200,000 of our equity and we turn that into a second loan. So now we've got a $600,000 home loan and an extra $200,000 investment loan. We then take that $200K that the bank has lent us and we invest it in our ETFs or our investment portfolio, and we stop before we start investing and we decide who's the right ownership for this one. And it's a bit more complex because it's borrowed money, so there's tax deductions. So talk to your accountant about the right ownership if this is a strategy you're going to consider. But then you are investing that $200,000 for the longer term with the expectation that it will outperform the 6% interest that you have on your home loan. It is not worth doing this strategy if you have less than a 5 to 7 year time frame for this money. If you need it sooner than 5 to 7 years, it's unlikely you can guarantee you'll get more than a 6% return, in which case it's better to put it on the house. So you execute this strategy if you have a long time frame. And quite frankly, everyone should have a version of a long time frame. As they start to get more surplus cash flow, they can afford to direct that to smarter investments, smarter strategies that give them options 15, 10 years from now. The other key consideration with this strategy, and you need to talk to your mortgage broker about it, is we now have an extra $200,000 worth of debt. Is that interest only? Is it principal and interest? The second we call on that $200,000 to invest it, we now have higher repayments. So if we come back up here to our strategy about cash flow, before we were sending $1,000 extra to a home loan, and I've suggested maybe we send some of that to an investment portfolio. How much of this starts to get eaten up by what's happening with our new investment portfolio and the repayments associated with that debt? Just some key things to start thinking about, and make sure you have enough of a buffer if markets fall and it's going to take some time for the portfolio to recover, because you never want to be forced to sell that share portfolio when markets are down. You want to be able to weather the storm, which means you need cash flow to keep paying that extra loan repayment. So let's look at how all of that applies to you. We consider people in two different stages. Foundations, so are you able to do it yourself based on this general information, or are you looking to enhance or optimize your outcomes? We categorize that in three different criteria. One, time sensitivity. Are you coming up to a big milestone? Are you close to retirement? Are you within the next 10 years of retirement? Are there big changes on the horizon that you're trying to plan for? Or are we just trying to make better decisions and there's no real milestones? Capacity. What capacity do you have to allocate funds or redirect funds to different strategies? If you're spending every cent that you receive and you don't have any capacity to save or invest or put money to super, then potentially right now you're more bedding down the foundations. If you've got surplus cash that is currently going to extra debt repayments or savings or being spent aimlessly and you want to be making better decisions, you have a reasonably high capacity to start to strategize and enhance the foundations you've already built. And finally, complexity. This is referring to tax structures, timing and sequencing. There's a hell of a lot that we do that's about order of operations, and if you get one thing out of sync, you can stuff it up. And also the level of wealth you have. The more wealth you have, the more complexity in pulling it all together. If you identify mostly with the DIY zone and you're happy to set up the foundations yourself, then your key action is to have a chat with a mortgage broker about your ability to leverage any equity in your house. Do the math like I just did in this example, where we say, what is my house worth, roughly? What is my current debt? Subtract the two from each other, voila, equity. Also, another very simple action you can take is do a budget. I know, it's boring, it sucks. Have a look at the very minimum, how much are you sending extra to your home loan? And how much would you be comfortable deviating and actually sending to growing your wealth? Set it up on direct debit and send a regular contribution to an investment every pay and forget about it. If all of that is a bit much and you need more complex support because timing, because you're busy, because you're in a higher income bracket and you're looking to enhance your outcomes and you've got a bit more complexity and some surplus cash flow that you're not sure what to do with, then perhaps it's right to scan the QR code and have a more personalized discussion. Applying these concepts, that's how you get wealth without the worry.
Used to flip coins in a busted jar. Now I tap phones, watch it hit my card. Same old hoodie, but the fit hit hard, cause the tag paid off by the 16 bars. I don't brag, I just balance the books. Turn late night, side eyes to executive.